أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم، وافتح علينا بمعرفة العلم وسهل أخلاقنا بالحلم، واجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم اجعل أعمالنا خالصة لوجهك ولا تجعل فيها حظا لغيرك. وصل اللهم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله
How's it
وبركاته.
going today?
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, and Maulana?
All good, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Tell me, my sound is my sound fine?
Sound is perfect, Maulana.
Alright.
Akin ya Maulana.
Okay, because I'm trying a slightly different setup today, so I just need to make sure that it's fine. Okay. 2 weeks ago, we were busy with our well, we said we were having like a final lesson on our Mazid fee scales. We were looking at some of the answers to the Mazid fee scales, and then we concluded and wrapped that up. I did promise you answers to the Mazid fee scales though, so let me just check quickly. Yeah, to the Mazid fee scales and to the Mazid fee examples in the Quran. Tell me, did you receive that? Mr. Nasreen sent it to me. I'm not too sure if she sent it to you guys as well. Anybody?
Assalamu alaikum, Maulana. I struggle to go through the Mizan study files. We just find it more useful if it comes to our WhatsApp and easier to access.
Okay. Then what I'll do is I will ask you to send it all via WhatsApp, inshallah. But then then you should have all of the answers to the Mazid fee worksheet we did, the scales, and also the examples in the Quran, right? What I want you to do with those answer sheets is basically compare them with the answers that you came up with, and ask yourself the question: if there's a discrepancy, why does that discrepancy exist? Right? Ask yourself, do I understand why the answer is how the answer is? And would I be able to arrive at that answer now on my own? Just as a form of self-evaluation to ensure that you know the Mazid fee scales, because that's extremely important. It remains important. Its importance, as is the case with even the earlier scales that we learned in Sarf, it never ever lessens. Sarf is extremely important. It's not as technical as Nahu. There aren't as many rules as Nahu, but its utility, the benefit that we derive from it is equally, if not even greater. It's equally great, if not greater. So please, let's not sideline that sort of. What we'll do is we'll start off at the beginning of every lesson. For now, we'll just say our scales, right? We're not going to get into it because we're going to focus from now on Nahu, right? But we'll just say our scales, and if anybody needs if anybody needs to ask anything about it, then we will entertain that even later. Right? Give me a second. Okay, so right at the beginning, let's just say those scales بإذن ta'ala, right? Everybody, you can say it on your own. You can say it with me actually. So, bismillah. 1, 2, 3, let's go. فعل يفعل تفعيلا مفعل مفعل فعل لا تفعل. Next scale. فاعل يفاعل فعالا مفاعلة مفاعل مفاعل فاعل لا تفاعل. Scale. أفعل يفعل إفعالا مفعل مفعل أفعل لا تفعل. Fifth scale. تفعل يتفعل تفعلا متفعل متفعل تفعل لا تتفعل. Next one. تفاعل يتفاعل تفاعلا متفاعل متفاعل تفاعل لا تتفاعل. Next one. Next one would be انفعل. So everybody say that. انفعل ينفعل انفعالا منفعل منفعل انفعل لا تنفعل. Next one. افتعل يفتعل افتعالا مفتعل مفتعل افتعل لا تفتعل. Next. افعل يفعل افعلالا مفعل افعل لا تفعل. And the last one. استفعل يستفعل استفعالا مستفعل مستفعل استفعل لا تستفعل. Right, and those were our 10 scales, or well, the 9 mazid fi scales that we learned thus far. The first scale would obviously be our thulathi mujarrad scale, the one with just 3 root letters. All of these have additional letters added to them. Right. So, tell me, are there any questions on that before we move on? Anything that anybody wants to clarify before we move on? We're going to switch now to a different subject matter, that being Nahu. How many do you have this Nahu textbook?
No, Maulana.
لا no مولانا.
Oh, okay. I'm going to send it to you now via WhatsApp. Right? Is that fine?
So now, or you can put it on this chat, on the Zoom chat.
Okay, I'm going to put it on the Zoom chat and I'll send it via. If people want to. Just from your phone. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a moment to open up this textbook. Then we'll get into it, inshallah. Right. Does everyone have the textbook?
Yes, Maulana.
Okay, Bismillah. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, just carry on with Nahu from where we left off last year. And it's not, some of the concepts that we're going to look at, we already covered before. You already know them. And we already apply them in, in our various lessons that we do, etc. But we are going to look at, we're going to look specifically at functions that words play in sentences, which is essentially what Nahu is all about. Yeah, we're only going to look, or for now at least, we're only going to look at words in Rafa, in Halatul Rafa, what we call the Marfu'at. Now, remember, you may have been told, or you likely would have been told, that in a sentence, the hal that the word is in, right, it affects the function of that word in the sentence, or the role of that word in the sentence. Do you remember that? Is that an idea that's known to you, or foreign to you?
It's
That the
known,
hal,
Maulana.
excuse me?
It's known to us, yes.
Known, right? That the function of a word is indicated by the hal of that word. And also, it's indicated by the hal, but the hal also exists because of the role that it's playing in that sentence. So what we're going to be looking at here is we're going to look at Nahu by we're going to be looking at the different functions words play, but categorized according to hals. So we're going to look at halatul rafa and see what are all the functions that are indicated by halatul rafa. Or when a word is in halatul rafa, what are the potential functions that it can be playing in a sentence? And then afterwards we'll look at nasb and all of the various functions that that are in nasb and then in jar. We may change that order. Allahu a'lam, but for now we certainly are starting with halatul raf. So just as a quick recap, right? We have at the beginning here a question of what is nahu, and just a revision of the various hals and what words look like in those hals or in those ahwal. Right? So to answer the question, what is nahu? Before we just read of what is here, you tell me, what do you think, what's nahu? What do you remember what nahu is?
Salam
How do you
alaikum.
differentiate?
Yeah, should be unmute. Now is the study of encasing and how that affects the function of a word in a sentence.
Good. Study of encasing and how that affects the function of a word in a sentence. How does it differ to sarf? How does it differ from sarf?
Sarf is more towards the verbs and their conjugations, whereas Nahu is more towards the grammar.
Yeah, good. How I would explain it though is something like this. Sarf technically doesn't only apply to verbs. You get sarful asma as well. We just haven't focused on that very much, but we have looked at it to some degree. For example, there are specific noun templates that we've come across, like for example, the ismul fa'il. We learned the ismul fa'il, which is a noun form for all of the different scales. We learned it for the first scale, fa'ilun, Yeah. Just give me a second quickly. Take a minute, please. Complete. Okay, sorry about that. So I was saying how I would explain the difference between sarf and nahu is that in sarf, I was busy making the point though that we also do have sarful asma. We've learned some of those forms, like the noun forms that we learned in sarf. Fa'ilun, mufa'ilun, mufa'ilun, muf'ilun. All of those are noun forms. Even the masdar forms, right? Various forms of masdar in the first bab. For the second bab, taf'ilun or taf'ilan. Essentially, I mean, it's declined also. Taf'ilun for the third bab. Fi'alun or mufa'alatun for the fourth bab. If'alun, fifth bab. تفاعل, sixth bab. تفاعل, seventh bab. انفعال, eighth bab. افتعال, ninth bab. افعلال, افعلال, tenth bab. استفعال, استفعال. All of those are noun forms. So you do get, I mean, kind of like a little bit of a cheat that we say at the beginning that in sarf we're going to focus on the verbs. Yeah, we are going to focus on the verbs by and large, but it doesn't only apply to verbs. But how I would explain the difference between the two in a simple way is that sarf deals with changes in the form of the word, right? From the beginning, like up until the end casing. It deals with the form of the word. So changes in the word, in the form of the word. It deals with everything up until the end casing. Nahu deals with how changes in the end casing change the function in a word. So it's as if you can think about it like a sarf deals with the changes throughout the word, and nahu deals with the change only at the end of the word. Right? Sarf deals with the meaning conveyed by the word, and nahu deals with the role or the function of that word in the sentence. Right? Or how the words interact with each other. How the words interact with each other. Right. So we said there's certain things that we are taken as a given. This page doesn't really explain exactly what nahu is, but it just reminds us of some important concepts, right? Number one, that kalam, speech, is made up of three parts. We remember them. There's three types of kalima, or kalimat. That's ism, fi'al, and harf. Very first lesson you learned in nahu, right? You can't forget that. Ism, fi'al, and harf. And we said ism is a word that can take a al or tanween. It is not time bound, right? So what falls under the like names of things, names of places, even adjectives, adverbs, they all fall under asma in Arabic. Then we had the fi'al, and the fi'al we said is a time-bound word, conveys an action. It's a time-bound word. Can't have a al, can't have a tanween. And a harf is a particle. It doesn't convey full meaning on its own. Right. Then we spoke about the concept of i'rab or inflection. What does i'rab mean? Is how the ending of a word or the end casing of a word changes its role in the sentence. Right? And that's essentially the main component of Nahu. That's the main object of study in Nahu. And so the question is, firstly, the end casing or the the level of inflection. What do we call that in Arabic? Because I'm going to use that word most of the time. What do we call that in Arabic?
Is it the hal, Maulana? The hal?
The hal. Correct, yes. It's the hal. Listen, if my sound is very soft at any point, just tell me. Ne? I think there's something I can do about it, but it sounds like I have these earphones in and it sounds pretty loud to me, so I'm assuming that it's loud enough for you guys. So we call it the hal. We call it the hal, right? And how many ahwal are there for asma? How many ahwal are there for nouns? 3, right? What are those 3? Like on the screen, so. What are they? Raf,
فتحة كسرة ضمة.
No. Raf,
Fatha,
Nasb,
Kasra, and
Jar.
Dhamma are signs of the hal. But what's the name of the hal?
It's Raf'un, Nasbun, and Jarrun.
Raf'un, Nasbun, and Jarrun. Correct.
Jar.
Right. Raf'un, Nasbun, and Jarrun. Right. And we learned that different types of words can have different signs that indicate to that hal. You remember them? The tables on the screen currently. Right? We said mufrad words or singular words, they have a specific type of sign that indicate to the hal that they're in. Few words have different set of signs that indicate to the hal that they're in. Sound, masculine plurals, or jam, mudhakkar, salim have a specific set of signs that indicate to the hal that they're in. The same goes for jam, mu'annath, salim. Jam, mukassar, broken plural. Al-asma'ul khamsa, the 5 nouns, which is basically a special set of words that decline differently to all the other words. And then غير منصرف and mabni words. So do you remember that from last year? Did you cover that last year?
Maulana, I think we didn't cover the other 2, Maulana. The what's it? Al-Asma'ul Khamsatun, and then the other one, Maulana. But we did learn about Mabni and stuff like that, and then the other forms, but not that
Okay.
other 2, Maulana.
Okay, so let's just go through it quickly. Let's go through it. I'm going to give you an example of a word, right? And then I want somebody to tell me how that word will decline. Baytun. How will baytun sound in halatul raf?
It will stay the same, Maulana. Baytun.
In nasb,
In Nasb, it will be Baytan.
right? In jar,
Baytin.
طيب.
baytun. Good. I'm going to give you another word. Why does it change like that? What kind of word is it?
That's
Think about what it means. Baytun.
Baytun is Baytun a house, Maulana? It sounds like a feminine word. No, I'm lying.
Singular noun.
House.
Singular.
It is a house, yes. Right? It is a house. Good. But it's not a feminine word. It is a masculine word. Right? The ta at the end is not a ta marbuta. I thought when I said the word that might catch somebody, it's not a ta marbuta. That's a full open ta. Okay, I'll give you another word. أقلام. أقلام. How will that word decline? رفع.
أكلاما
رفع.
أو نرافت تمام أكلام مولانا عندنا أكلاما
أقلاما.
أكلام
And أقلام in jar. Right. What kind of word is that? So first, what does أقلام mean? That's a plural of قلم.
قلم.
The plural of قلم, correct. Right? قلم means a pen. أقلام means pens. Pens. Right? So that falls under.
Is it a broken plural, Malana?
Yes, that is.
جمع مكسر.
جمع مكسر. pen. I don't know what pen is now. Okay, just I don't know where my pen is. So that's a broken plural. Jam. Yes, sir. Now I'm gonna write now. That's just one over here. The first one we did was mufrad and jam mukassar. Both of them, they look the same. In rafa, they have a un or u. In nasb, they have a an or a. In jar, they have a in or i. Right? You can give me any word there. Al-babu, it will be al-babu, al-baba, al-babi. You can give me the plural of it, abwabun or al-abwabu. It'll be al-abwabu, al-abwaba, al-abwabi. So they like follow the normal pattern of declension, right? Does anybody have a problem with that? Or any questions regarding that?
No, Malana. That's
Right.
clear.
Then we move on to the next type of word. We have muthanna, a dual word. Remember in terms of the numbers of the words we learnt last year, it was singular, dual, and plural. So we're working with the dual now. How do you make any word dual?
Don't you add ani,
Add ani.
aini, or
Right.
atin?
Not atin. You
Oh,
started
sorry.
right.
I'm going to the. I
Yes, yes.
see, Maulana.
So
I'm a madrasi, Maulana.
you add. That's why I'm doing this recap quickly. You add ani if it's in a rafa, and if it's in nasb or jar, you add
أين.
aini. Right. So that's the sign that we have over here. Right? Muthanna. You can take any word. If it's in a rafa, it will be or in ani. That will have that alif there that indicates to its duality. If it's in nasb, it will have aini. If it's in jar, it will have aini. More specifically, the ya indicates to its duality, the a sound at the end. So let's take an example. Kitabani. How will it sound in a rafa?
The same. Kitabani.
Same.
Kitabani, that's it. In nasb,
Kitabaini.
right?
كتابين.
And in jar,
Kitabaini.
Kitabaini, the
Kitabaini.
exact same, right? The same. So there, you have to be cognizant of the fact that the hal looks the same in nasb and in jar, right? So you're going to have to know something else to differentiate or to tell, to figure out when a word is in which of those hals, right? But we'll get to that in due time, inshallah. Jam' mudhakkar salim, the sound masculine plural. How do we form a sound masculine plural?
Una or ina.
We add
Una,
una
una.
or ina. Correct. If it's in a rafa, it will be
Ina.
una. If it's in nasb or jar, it will be ina. And again, the wow or the ya indicates to the wow or the e sound indicates to it being a sound masculine plural, right? I'll give you an example. Mu'minun, plural of that will be mu'minuna. In nasb or jar, it will be mu'minina. Mu'minina. Sound feminine plural. This one sometimes gets tricky.
Atun or atun.
Atun and atin.
Atun,
Atun
atin.
or atin. So, for example, we have the word muslimatun. If I form the sound feminine plural, it will be muslimatun. In jar, it will be muslimatin. That's very intuitive. But in nasb, the second one, it's also muslimatin. So why this is tricky is because in nasb and jar, it's atin. Now, you might say, well, that's not a foreign idea. That's the same like the dual word, and it's the same like the sound masculine plural. The only difference is here that atun, that un sound, it like relates very much to the normal raf, to the normal sign of raf. This jarya, this kasratain here, it relates very well to the, the kasratain here. In the sound masculine, the sound feminine plural. It's only this one that differs here. That an sound is not present in the sound feminine plural form. Right? Okay. So those are essentially the main ones. Those are the main ones. Or I should rather say the most common ones. Those are the most common ones. The singular word, the dual word, the sound masculine plural, the sound feminine plural, and the broken plural. Right? But then there are the other three other types of words that also go through different types of declension. We have a special group of words called the five nouns. Some would add a sixth. Right? Those are five words that decline differently to all other words. For these five words, the entire form of the word changes. The entire ending of the word changes. The letter. You see, all of these change with like harakat generally. These ones, instead of just having a un or an or in, the entire letter changes to a wow or alif or ya, which is the pulling sound that goes with those, with those harakat. So, for example, these words are abun, akhun, hamun, dhu, and famun. Abun, akhun, hamun, dhu, and famun. So how does abun sound in Raf? And yes, only when it's part of a mudaf ilayh construction. How does abun sound? How do I say his father in the Raf?
Abu.
Abuhu.
Abu.
How do I say his father in Nasb? Now, yeah, Say? I heard it.
I know it's Abba, but the is, how do you,
Okay.
can't be Abaha.
No. Abahu. Abahu.
Awu.
Abba.
Only in jar that one will change. In jar it will be what? Abihi. Abihi. So it's abuhu, abahu, or abihi. Can you see what's happening over there? The ending changes from abu to a. The whole letter changes to abi. The same goes for akhun. Akhuhu, akhahu, akhihi. Abun, akhun, hamun, the same thing. Amuhu, amahu, amihi. Abun, akhun, hamun, dhu. You know, let's put dhul izzah. You say dhul izzati, dhal izzati, dhil izzati. The dhu, the entire letter changes then. Abun, akhun, hamun, dhu, famun. A mouth. Famun means a mouth. If I want to say, his mouth, it will be ooh. Now that's like crazy because I'm going from famun to ooh. The meme goes away all together. Ooh, fahu, fihi, ooh, his mouth in raf. Fahu, his mouth in nasb. Fihi, his mouth in jar. And I must say, hey, fihi, that sounds like in him. No, it can be in him or in it, or it can be just fihi, his mouth. It's a little bit of a tricky one, but those 5 words are 5 special words. So, I mean, if you want to know the frequency of that, literally it's 5 words. Then we have words.
No.
Yes.
Did you say those 5 words, they only decline like that when they are mudaf ilay?
Yes.
Okay.
Like if or rather, yeah, when they're mudaf, not when they're mudafun ilay, when they're the mudaf. When they're the first part of the idafa construction, when they're mudaf, not mudafun ilay. Yeah, when they are mudaf, when they're the first part of the idafa construction. Then you get words that are, so those are all forms of words that are fully declinable. And you can see the table has them arranged like that. Why? They have a specific way that they look in nasb, in jar, or in nasb, in raf, in nasb, and in jar, fully declinable. Then we have words that are semi-declinable. Semi-declinable. We call them in Arabic غير منصرف. غير منصرف. Like that means, it actually means not munsarif, not changing or not declining. Another name for it is called ممنوع من الصرف. ممنوع, منع means to prevent. ممنوع من الصرف, so a word that is prevented from changing completely. But essentially, it's actually semi-declinable. So semi-declinable words are words that get the normal sign for raf and nasb, but not jar. Right? So it goes halfway. In raf, it won't decline all the way. It only declines till the middle. In raf, it will have a Ibrahimu. In nasb, it will have a Ibrahimah. In jar, it will have a as well. It doesn't go further down. So the levels of declension, it's like raf is the highest and then and then I is the lowest. So this one only goes halfway. It has a and a but not a e. Another thing to note, this only applies when the word doesn't have a al, or when it's not definite, right? When it's definite, then it declines normally. When the word is definite, then it declines normally. I'll give you an example.
Malala, so the example, yeah, in the book Ibrahim is a name.
Yes.
So a name is definite, isn't it? Anyway.
It's definite in meaning. Like, for example, I can say Muhammadun. Muhammadun. It's the word is actually indefinite. But because I'm speaking about a particular person, it's definite in meaning. But the word itself can be indefinite.
So if you're referring to the sign al, that there actually needs to be the al sign. And I'm just thinking of the mudaf ilayh that doesn't have the al sign.
Yeah, it will still be fully declinable. Let me think of an example for you. The word ulama'u. Is that fully declinable? I'm just giving you an example actually. Yeah, the word ulama'u is غير منصرف. It's a plural. Ulama'u. If it's indefinite, it will be ulama'u in raf, ulama'i in nasb. Sorry. Ulama'u in raf, ulama'a in nasb, ulama'ah in jar as well. If it's definite, al-ulama, then it declines normally. Al-ulama'u, al-ulama'a, al-ulama'i. Let's make a mudaf ilayh construction. Let's say the ulama of South Africa. The ulama of South Africa. Or let's say the ulama of South Africa. Ulama, okay, let's go with the ulama of Medina. Ulama ul Madinati. Ulama, that's how it will sound, right? In a raf, it will sound very, that's in raf. Ulama ul Madinati. In nasb, it will be ulama al Madinati. And in jar, it will be ulama il Madinati. Li, like for example, if I put a li before it, li ulama il Madinati. So it declines normally there. So the rule is when it's definite, it declines normally. When it's indefinite, then it's only semi-declinable. Makkah is a word like this as well. You can say Makkatu, Makkata, not Makkati. So the first thing is it only gets a u or a, no e, and it doesn't have a tanween. Even though it's indefinite, it doesn't have a tanween. Yeah? So there's two things you must remember about. It doesn't have a tanween, so the word ulama'u can be indefinite, but it's still going to be ulama'u, not ulama'un. Doesn't have a tanween and it can't have a kasra. So there's a footnote there for that. Number two, semi-declinable words are called غير منصرف and cannot take a kasra or tanween. And then we have lastly mabni words or non-declinable words. So they look the same in every hal. They don't change. Like, yeah, you have example, huwa. I mean, huwa would be an example. It stays huwa. Huwa in raf, huwa in nasb, huwa in jar. ذلك in nasb, raf, ذلك in nasb, ذلك in jar. That fatha at the end doesn't matter. الذي in raf, الذي in nasb, الذي in jar. What are some other words?
Name
Antum.
Musa.
Musa stays the same all the time. Musa, Musa, Musa. Zakaria is the same. Zakaria, Zakaria, Zakaria. Unless you do it with a Hamza. Zakaria. That is another way of saying it also. Comes in some of the riwayat of the Quran like that. But you get the point?
So, Maulana, with the
Yes.
footnote, do we write there at the bottom that except when do we say that except when it has an al
You
for
can
the
just,
semi?
if you want, you can make a note that when the semi-declinable words are definite, then they decline normally. Like in some English textbooks in Arabic, I think you will find the words diptote and triptote used. So they'll say a word that's fully declinable, meaning it can go into any one of the three hals. With sign, they call that a triptote word. And when it only goes into two, it's called diptote. So they will say that غير منصرف words are diptote, and the others are triptote. But yeah, I don't really care about all the terminologies. I just care that you know how the words look in the different ahwal. Right? You know the concept of غير منصرف, you know the concept of mabni, and then you know the concept of the word mu'arab, a word that's fully declinable. Right. Our time's actually up. What we're going to do is at the beginning of next, I want you to go through for homework today. All that I want you to do is I want you to go through this table, right? I want you to go through this table and just make sure that you know how words look, like how each type of word looks in each of the ahwal. It wasn't our purpose actually to have to do this. This is actually part of last year's Nahu. What we actually want to do here is just say that, look, we're going to concern ourselves with raf. We're going to concern ourselves with the hal raf, right? And we are going to look at all the functions that get fulfilled by the hal raf. But we'll start doing that next week, inshallah. For now, I just want you to make sure that you know how words look in each of the ahwal. Right? That's your homework for next week, inshallah. I should be able to tell you jannati. You must be able to tell me it's a sound feminine word in nasb or jar. I should be able to tell you the word dhalikum. You must be able to tell me that is a word that is mabni. It looks the same in raf, nasb or jar. I should be able to tell you the word baytani. You must be able to tell me that that is a dual word and it's in raf. If I say baytaini, you must be able to tell me it's a dual word in nasb or jar. You understand? So that's homework. Just make sure you know this table very well. Revise that. Is that fine? Any questions before we end?
Maulana, Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
I have a question. You know those 5 words at the bottom, right?
Yes.
Let me just go there. I didn't quite catch all the meaning. Abu, I know his father. Akhu, I know his brother. Zu, what is Zu?
Zu is a possessor.
Possessor, yes. And Fu, what is that? Fu or Fu? Just Fu.
Is a mouth. Fam is that it also comes in the form.
That's
Fam,
a mouth.
mouth.
I couldn't hear properly. Fu.
Right,
And
mouth.
Hamu? Hamu?
Hamu is like a brother-in-law.
Oh, okay. Is this the 5 unique exception?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are they call the Asma'ul Khamsa.
And Maulana, you used like his father, his brother, but now my father, my brother, how would it look in raf and nasb and jar?
Okay, only if it's a yeah, then it's all going to be abi, akhi.
I wanted to say I've never come across it in different forms of the word.
It is in different ahwal, but it doesn't show because that yeah basically overpowers it. But if you put on any one of the others, it will work. أبونا أبانا أبينا أبوك أباك أبيك أبوك أبو أباك أبيك. That ya is like an exception because it overpowers it. But other than that, it follows this pattern. Abu, Aba, Abi. Akhu, Akha, Akhi. Dhu, Dha, Dhi. Fu, Fa, Fi. Hamu, Hama, Hami. Right? Okay, but our time is actually up. We will we'll pick this up next week again, inshallah. Please, 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 please do revise this table. Make sure you know this is stuff we did last year. This was just a refresher on that. But please make sure you know it. Next week we'll move on to our first concept, and actually we'll just look at an overview of the hal of raf, and then we'll look at each concept individually. Bi'idhnillah ta'ala, right? So we end for now. وجزاكم الله خيرا وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مولانا
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
Mulana Yazid is with us. I'm handing it over to you now. Mulana Yazid, assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. You are now the host.
وعليكم السلام. How are you, Malana?
Alhamdulillah. Yourself?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.